Isaac grew up in the crowded streets of Lagos, Nigeria, where poverty was a constant companion. His father's death haunted him, a preventable tragedy that occurred simply because the family couldn't afford the life-saving surgery. That moment, watching his father fade away on a hospital bed while doctors shook their heads, planted a seed deep in Isaac's heart. He would become a doctor so no poor man would die the way his father had. After his father's death, greedy relatives seized their small piece of land, leaving Isaac and his mother with nothing. His mother became their sole provider, selling vegetables by the roadside and washing clothes for others. Many nights she went to bed hungry so Isaac could eat and continue his education. Young Isaac studied by candlelight, using borrowed notebooks and wearing torn shoes that made his classmates laugh. But his mother's words kept him going. "My son, you will make us proud one day. Just keep reading." The years were hard, but Isaac never gave up. He woke before dawn to study, went to school in torn uniforms, and returned home to help his mother sell vegetables. His determination was unshakable. Every time he felt like quitting, he remembered his father's weak voice on that hospital bed, remembered the doctors turning away because they had no money. That memory fueled his resolve. He would not let poverty kill his dreams the way it had killed his father. Years of relentless studying finally paid off when Isaac passed his exams and gained admission to medical school. The joy on his mother's face was priceless. Her sacrifices had not been in vain. But the celebration was brief. Paying school fees became another impossible mountain to climb. Isaac took every job he could find, cleaning shops, loading goods at markets, working as a waiter in restaurants. He would collapse into bed exhausted each night, only to wake before dawn with renewed determination. Medical school tested him in ways poverty never had. The fees seemed endless, the books were expensive, and the studying was grueling. Many times he wanted to quit, but the memory of his father's death pushed him forward. His classmates noticed his brilliance despite his circumstances. They called him the genius from the ghetto, and he consistently ranked first in his class. His professors were impressed by his dedication and intelligence, but they didn't know the price he paid for every A grade. After graduation, Isaac believed his struggles were finally over. He imagined himself in a white coat, working in a prestigious hospital, saving lives, and providing for his mother. The graduation ceremony was one of the happiest days of his life. His mother sat in the audience, tears streaming down her face as she watched her son receive his medical degree. All those years of sacrifice, all those hungry nights, all that suffering, it had finally led to this moment. But reality, as Isaac would soon discover, had other plans. With his medical certificate in hand, Isaac walked through Lagos searching for employment. He applied to government hospitals, private clinics, and every medical facility he could find. But no one called him back. Some hospital administrators told him bluntly, "You lack connections." Others simply ignored his applications. Weeks became months, and months stretched into years. His certificate gathered dust while his hope slowly died. Each morning he woke up optimistic, dressed in his best clothes, carried his folder of applications, and walked miles across Lagos in the scorching heat. Each evening he returned home crushed, having faced another day of rejection. His mother tried to encourage him, but he could see the worry in her aging eyes. She was getting sicker, and he couldn't even afford proper medicine for her. Isaac refused to give up completely. He began offering free medical services in his neighborhood, checking blood pressure, treating minor wounds, giving first aid. He charged little or nothing, finding peace in helping others even as his own dreams crumbled. The people in his community respected him and called him Dr. Isaac with genuine affection, but respect didn't pay bills or ease his mother's suffering. At night, he would lie awake wondering if all his years of education and sacrifice had been for nothing. One scorching afternoon, after another fruitless job search, Isaac stopped at a roadside shop to buy water. His legs ached and sweat poured down his face. As he rested on a wooden bench, a sleek black car pulled up beside him. A well-dressed man stepped out, and when Isaac looked up, recognition struck him like lightning. "Menace," he called out. It was his old university classmate, now transformed into a vision of wealth, designer clothes, gold chains, expensive shoes. They talked about old times, laughing and reminiscing. Menace had never been particularly bright in school, often copying Isaac's notes and barely passing exams. Yet here he stood, dripping with success while Isaac, the class genius, struggled in poverty. When Isaac mentioned his struggles, Menis listened with apparent sympathy. "My guy," Menis said with a wide smile, "connections and street sense make people blow in this life. You're my brother, I won't leave you like this. Give me small time. I'll help you." Isaac's heart soared with hope. Finally, someone who could help him. That evening, he rushed home and told his mother everything. She was excited too, clapping her hands and thanking God. "You see, my son, God has not forgotten us. He has sent help through your old friend." Perhaps this was the divine intervention they'd been praying for. Perhaps their suffering was finally coming to an end. Isaac went to bed that night with more hope than he'd felt in years. Isaac began visiting Menis's mansion regularly, a sprawling compound with expensive cars, uniformed guards, and opulent interiors. Everything sparkled: marble floors, golden furniture, crystal chandeliers. "Welcome to my small house," Menis said proudly. Isaac thought he was joking, the place was like a palace. He believed Menis was preparing something significant for him, perhaps arranging paperwork for a job abroad or making important connections, but weeks passed, and the truth slowly revealed itself. Menis had no real plan to help Isaac. He simply wanted a servant. "Isaac, I beg, go pick something for me," became a constant refrain. Isaac found himself washing cars, ironing clothes, running errands, picking up women for Menis. He became less of a friend and more of an unpaid employee. Whenever he tried asking about a promised job or travel opportunity, Menis would laugh and say, "Relax, my guy. Everything go happen soon. You know fit rush success." 2 months became a year. Isaac's life was slipping away while Menis grew richer and more arrogant. Yet Isaac held on, believing that loyalty and patience would eventually be rewarded. Then came the morning that shattered everything. Menis told him they were traveling abroad together the following week. Isaac packed, prepared documents, organized everything, and arrived at the mansion early on the travel day, only to be told by the gateman that Menis had left for the airport hours earlier with other people. The betrayal cut deep. Isaac stood at that closed gate, feeling like the biggest fool in Lagos. For 2 years, he had wasted his time serving a man who never intended to help him. He had trusted the wrong person, sacrificed his dignity, and lost precious time he could have spent building something of his own. That night, he returned home in silence. His mother saw the pain in his eyes and understood without asking. The lesson was bitter but clear: not every helping hand is sincere. Isaac returned home in silence that night. His mother saw the pain in his eyes but said nothing. They sat together in the darkness, both understanding the bitter lesson life had taught them. The next day, Isaac made a decision that would change everything. He would stop depending on others and build something himself. He had wasted 2 years being someone's errand boy. He refused to waste another day using the little money he'd saved from odd jobs over the years, money he'd hidden away for emergencies. Isaac rented a tiny shop at the edge of a busy street and converted it into a small clinic. The walls were bare, the bed was old, and the equipment was minimal. He bought a used examination table, a basic blood pressure monitor, and some essential medicines. But it was his. Every piece of equipment, every painted wall, every cleaned floor, it was all his own work. Isaac worked day and night, treating people who couldn't afford proper hospitals. He charged little or nothing, but found deep satisfaction in finally using his medical skills to help others. His hands were steady, his diagnoses were accurate, and slowly, people began to trust him. Word spread through the neighborhood about the kind doctor who treated the poor with respect and skill. Patients would tell their friends and family, "Go to Dr. Isaac. He will help you, even if you have no money." He was still poor himself, living in the same small room, eating simple meals, wearing the same old clothes. But for the first time in years, he felt free and purposeful. He was finally doing what he'd always dreamed of: healing people, making a difference, honoring his father's memory. Every patient he helped brought him genuine joy. This was real success, he thought. Not the kind that came from serving the wealthy, but the kind that came from serving the needy. Months passed, and Isaac's reputation grew in the neighborhood. People respected his kindness and medical skill. One hot afternoon, a shiny black SUV pulled up in front of his clinic. Out stepped Peter, an old friend from medical school. They had been close once. Peter was smart, confident, and streetwise. After graduation, they'd lost touch completely. Now Peter looked transformed, designer clothes, expensive watch, the unmistakable aura of wealth and success. They talked about old times, laughing about professors and exams, remembering late-night study sessions and difficult cases. Peter looked around the small clinic with a mixture of admiration and pity. "You're doing good work, Isaac, but this place is too small for your talent. You deserve better. You were the smartest one in our class. You should be running a big hospital, not this small place." Isaac explained his struggles with unemployment and how he'd started the clinic himself. Peter's smile turned mysterious. "Maybe your time has come, my friend. There are people who can change your life overnight. They have influence, power, and connections. They help people with potential, like you." Isaac felt uneasy. Something in Peter's tone made his skin crawl. "What kind of people?" he asked carefully. Peter lowered his voice, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. "Let's just say they're powerful business partners. They invest in professionals. All you have to do is attend a small meeting. No pressure. Just listen to what they have to say. If you don't like it, walk away. Simple." Despite his reservations, despite the warning bells ringing in his head, Isaac agreed. Maybe this was legitimate. Maybe this was his real breakthrough. The next day, Peter drove him for hours to an isolated compound on the city's outskirts. The building looked abandoned from outside, tall gates, thick walls, armed guards dressed in black. Isaac's heart began to pound. Inside was a large hall with dim lights and a long table where 5 well-dressed men sat, their faces serious and cold. Around them stood about 10 armed guards with weapons clearly visible. This was no ordinary business meeting point. One man spoke, his voice deep and commanding. "Welcome, Dr. Isaac. We've heard about your good work and your struggles. You deserve more. We can make your clinic the best hospital in Lagos. All we ask is loyalty." He slid a folded note across the table. "Read this when you get home. Think about it carefully. If you agree, contact Peter. We reward those who serve us faithfully." The meeting was over in minutes, but those minutes would haunt Isaac forever. That night, Isaac sat alone in his room, hands trembling as he opened the note. The message was brief but chilling. "Special patients will be brought to your hospital. Do not question their condition or identities. Follow our instructions without fail. In return, you will receive unlimited funding and protection. Betrayal will result in consequences." Isaac read it again and again, his heart pounding. The meaning was clear, even though the words were carefully chosen. They wanted him to do something illegal, something dangerous. For days he was restless, unable to focus on work. His conscience screamed at him to refuse, to tear up the note and forget he ever met those men. But another voice whispered in his ear, the voice of desperation, of years of suffering, of watching his mother grow weaker while he remained helpless. That voice reminded him of the leaking clinic roof, the outdated equipment, the patients he couldn't properly treat because he lacked resources. Then one evening, as he prepared to close the clinic, the same black SUV returned. 2 men in suits stepped out, their faces expressionless. "Dr. Isaac, our boss is expecting your answer." Isaac stammered that he needed more time to think. The men exchanged glances, then handed him a brown envelope. "This will help you decide," they said, and left without another word. Inside was a check for 5 million naira and a small card reading, a token of what's to come. Isaac stared at the check until his vision blurred. 5 million naira, more money than he had ever seen in his life. Money that could transform everything. Money that could save his mother's life, repair the clinic, buy proper equipment. Money that could make him somebody. That night, sleep refused to come. Isaac lay awake, the check on the table beside him, staring at the ceiling. He thought of his father dying because they had no money. He thought of his mother's constant illness. He thought of the years he'd spent studying, struggling, hoping. And somewhere in the dark hours before dawn, Isaac made his choice. With trembling hands, he signed the agreement. That single signature changed everything. Within weeks, trucks arrived with expensive medical equipment worth millions. Builders and painters transformed the small clinic into a modern hospital with air-conditioned wards, private suites, and polished floors. A new sign went up, Isaac Specialist Hospital. People passing by stopped to stare in amazement. His mother wept with joy, believing God had finally blessed them. But deep inside, Isaac knew this wasn't divine intervention, it was something much darker. The hospital became the talk of Lagos. Politicians, businessmen, and celebrities came for treatment. Isaac appeared on TV interviews, smiling in his white coat, talking about his journey from poverty to success. People called him Dr. Miracle and the People's Doctor. He moved into a mansion, bought expensive cars, hired a large staff. To the world, he was a success story, proof that hard work and determination could overcome any obstacle. But behind the clean white walls of Isaac's Specialist Hospital, a different reality was beginning to unfold. Isaac's success was complete. His hospital was renowned, his wealth was enviable, his reputation sparkled. But something was missing: companionship. His mother insisted he needed a wife. Not these city girls that love money, she warned. She found Ada, a humble, well-trained girl from a good family in the village. Isaac agreed to meet her, and Ada's quiet dignity reminded him of his mother. She was simple, respectful, not impressed by his wealth. Within months, they married in a grand celebration attended by politicians, celebrities, and hospital staff, but among the smiling guests stood Lola, a nurse who had worked with Isaac since the hospital's transformation. She knew every secret, every hidden deal, every midnight operation. In her mind, her loyalty made her more than an employee, it made her Isaac's partner. She believed she had earned a place in his heart through her silence and complicity. When she heard about the wedding, something inside her broke. Lola began dressing more provocatively, tight dresses, red lipstick, expensive perfume. She laughed louder, touched Isaac's arm more often, found excuses to stay late at the hospital. Isaac noticed but tried to ignore it, telling himself she would eventually accept the boundaries. Lola, you're one of my best staff. Don't cross boundaries that would destroy your reputation, he warned her one day. But she didn't stop. One rainy evening, Isaac stayed late to finish reports. Thunder rumbled outside and rain poured heavily. Suddenly, Lola entered his office, drenched, her dress clinging to her body. My car broke down. I couldn't get a taxi. Can I wait here? She asked, her voice soft and vulnerable. Isaac, being a gentleman, offered her a towel and told her to wait until the rain stopped. When he handed her the towel, Lola's eyes met his with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. You've changed, Isaac, she said softly, stepping closer. You used to look at me differently. I was with you when you had nothing. I risked everything for you. I know things that could destroy you. Don't I mean anything to you? Before Isaac could respond, before he could step back, she pulled him close and kissed him. Isaac froze. His mind screamed at him to push her away, but his emotions betrayed him. The stress of living a double life, the guilt of what he'd become, the loneliness despite his marriage, all of it overwhelmed him in that moment. That night, he gave in to temptation. The next morning, filled with regret and self-loathing, he told Lola family it was a mistake. It must never happen again. She nodded quietly, seeming to accept it. But inside, she smiled. She had found her power over him. The affair continued in secret for 3 months. Every time Isaac tried to end it, Lola would remind him of what she knew, of what she could reveal. Then one day, she walked into his office with a cold smile that sent chills down his spine. We need to talk, she said, closing the door behind her. About what? Isaac asked, though he feared he already knew. I'm pregnant, she said simply. And you will take responsibility. If you don't, I'll tell everyone what really happens in this hospital. I'll tell them about the brotherhood, the operations, everything. Let's see if your perfect little wife will still love you then. Isaac's world shattered in that moment. He realized he wasn't just a prisoner of the brotherhood anymore. He was also a prisoner of Lola, the woman who knew all his secrets and now had the ultimate weapon against him. The hospital's success continued to grow, but Isaac's inner peace had completely evaporated. Then came the phone call that would seal his fate. "Dr. Isaac," the voice said coldly, "you have your own hospital now. You no longer need our supply. From now on, use your patients. That is the price of your success." Isaac's blood ran cold. "These are innocent people," he protested weakly. "They trust me with their lives." The voice laughed without humor. "Do you think we care? You made a deal. You owe us. Fail us, and you know what happens to those who break their word." The line went dead. Days later, a 10-year-old boy was brought to the hospital. His mother, a poor widow who sold fruits by the roadside, begged Isaac to help her son. The diagnosis was simple appendicitis, an easy operation that Isaac had performed dozens of times. But as he prepared for surgery, his phone vibrated with a message, "We need a heart today." Isaac looked at the boy on the bed, breathing weakly, his mother outside whispering prayers. His hands trembled as he picked up the scalpel. Minutes later, the boy's heartbeat stopped. The mother's screams echoed through the hospital corridors. After that day, Isaac became colder, quieter. His conscience still spoke, but the threats from the Brotherhood silenced it. They continued demanding organs, kidneys, lungs, hearts. Each time he obeyed, they rewarded him richly. His wealth grew exponentially, but his spirit died a little more with each operation. He stopped sleeping well, haunted by the faces of those he had killed. Then came the incident that would destroy him completely. A young man, the son of a prominent politician, was admitted for a simple procedure. The operation should have taken less than an hour. But before it began, Isaac received another message from the Brotherhood, "Bring the heart." Isaac tried to delay, but the politician's family insisted the surgery proceed immediately. During the operation, the young man died. The family, suspicious and grief-stricken, demanded an autopsy. When the autopsy report came back, it was devastating: vital organ removed before death. The news exploded across Nigeria. Television stations ran the story non-stop. Social media erupted with outrage. "Doctor of Death," they called him. Protesters gathered outside his hospital gates, demanding justice. Isaac shot himself in his office, unable to face anyone. His staff fled, afraid of being associated with him. And then his phone buzzed with a message that made his blood freeze. Pictures of him and Lola in compromising positions filled his screen, along with scanned documents, evidence of every illegal deal, every secret transaction with the Brotherhood. The message was simple: "If I can't have you, no one will. Let's see how the world loves their hero now." It was from Lola. Her revenge was complete and devastating. That night, police burst into his home. His mother sat trembling on the couch, holding newspaper clippings that called her son a murderer. "Tell me it's a lie," she begged, tears streaming down her face. Before Isaac could answer, the officers handcuffed him. "Dr. Isaac, you are under arrest for multiple counts of murder, illegal organ trafficking, and conspiracy." The trial was swift and brutal. Witnesses testified about missing organs and suspicious deaths. Documents were presented. Recordings were played. The evidence was overwhelming. The Brotherhood denied knowing him, erasing every trace of their connection. When the judge read the final verdict, life imprisonment, Isaac simply bowed his head as tears rolled down his cheeks. His mother fainted in the courtroom. As the guards led him away, Isaac looked back one last time at the free world he would never see again. That night, in his cold prison cell, Isaac whispered to himself, "All I ever wanted was to heal. But I destroyed everything I touched." The boy who had studied by candlelight, who had dreamed of saving lives to honor his father's memory, had become a murderer. Success had come, but at a price too terrible to bear. And now he would spend the rest of his life behind bars, haunted not by poverty, but by the ghost of those he had killed in his desperate pursuit of wealth and recognition. Isaac's story is a cautionary tale that echoes through the ages, a reminder that the pursuit of success without integrity leads only to destruction. From a brilliant young boy studying by candlelight with dreams of healing the sick, Isaac transformed into a man whose hands took lives instead of saving them. His journey shows us that poverty is not the greatest tragedy, losing one's soul in the escape from poverty is far worse. The choices Isaac made were understandable but not justifiable. His desperation was real, his suffering was genuine, and his desire to help his mother was noble. Yet at each crossroads, he chose the easier path over the right one. He chose wealth over conscience, silence over truth, and ultimately, murder over morality. The brotherhood didn't force him, they simply offered, and he accepted. What makes Isaac's fall so tragic is that he had everything he needed to succeed honorably. He had intelligence, medical skill, compassion, and the respect of his community. His small clinic was growing through genuine care and dedication. Had he been patient, had he remained faithful to his principles, true success would have come. But impatience and desperation made him vulnerable to evil. Lola's betrayal and Menese's exploitation were painful, but they were merely consequences of Isaac's fundamental choice to compromise his values. When you build an empire on secrets and blood, you become a prisoner of those who know your secrets. Isaac discovered too late that the people who help you do wrong will eventually use that wrong against you. The saddest part of Isaac's story is his mother, a woman who sacrificed everything, endured every hardship, and believed her son's success was a blessing from God. She died of heartbreak, never understanding how her brilliant boy became a monster. Her sacrifices, instead of leading to redemption, led to shame and tragedy. As Isaac sits in his prison cell today, he has decades to reflect on the boy he once was and the man he became. The faces of his victims haunt him, the 10-year-old boy who trusted him, the politician's son who never saw his death coming, and countless others whose organs were harvested for profit. No amount of wealth was worth the weight of their blood on his hands. Isaac's story teaches us that shortcuts to success often lead to long roads of regret. It reminds us that integrity cannot be sold, even at the highest price. It shows us that true wealth is not measured in money or mansions but in peace of mind and clean hands. The world may celebrate your success, but if you know it's built on lies and lives, that celebration becomes torture. If this story has impacted you, taught you something valuable, or made you reflect on your own choices and values, please show your support by hitting the like button. Share this video with friends and family who need to hear this powerful message. Most importantly, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our deeply moving stories that explore human nature, morality, and the consequences of our choices. Your subscription helps us continue creating content that matters, content that makes you think, and content that reminds us all of what it means to live with integrity. Drop a comment below telling us what lesson you learned from Isaac's story. Thank you for watching, and remember, no success is worth losing your soul. Choose wisely, live honorably, and may you never have to look back with regret like Isaac does every single day.